What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of The David Lopez Show, presented by Passion Park ENT. You know what it is. Did you see I did a very stern of? You know what I mean? I did another episode of, rather than the of. Switching it up for you guys. I just want you guys to know, it's never the same around here. We're doing different things. Glad to be back. Second episode of the week. Yesterday's episode was the NFL one, did my picks, and just so if you guys need to be informed, we started 0-1 because that Thursday night game, the Eagles didn't cover. You sons of bitches. That's all good. Today's an NBA show, as I've been mentioning for like the past week. Me and KT hopped on a Zoom and just wrapped up the NBA season. We talked for a little bit about everything. Really, the Lakers, he's the Lakers fan, so we talk about, their championship, just how his emotions with that, or what that celebration was like, all that stuff. We talk about what the NBA is going to look like, going forward, or just ideas of what it might look like next season into 2021, 22, into those seasons. We talk about some of those potential trades, potential draft stuff, a bunch of NBA stuff. It's just, like an hour-long conversation where we just go through a bunch of stuff. So hope you all enjoy that. As always, if you are interested in my music, go to www.thedavidlopez.com. I got all my stuff on there. I haven't released a new song since July, but as I've been saying, I got a bunch of content coming soon, a bunch of new music coming soon. I was actually just editing a new video yesterday, so stay tuned is what I would say on that front. And then for everything else Passion Park-wise, go to www.passionparkent.com. Short films, podcasts, web series, everything's on there. So please check it out. I really appreciate all the support. If you ever want to leave a voice message to get onto the podcast, or if you just want to leave a comment or anything like that, if you look at the link or the description for this episode, whether it be on YouTube or Spotify, Apple, wherever you listen to podcasts or watch podcasts, you can see there's a little link that says support this show, or it says leave a message. So both those links, you can help us out. So be greatly appreciated. Like I said, excuse me. This is a longer conversation with KT, so I'm just going to get right into it. So enjoy the show.
David Lopez is the name. It's my show. Welcome to it.
What up, though, man? How you doing?
I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm good. Still riding the wave, still riding the hype. It's amazing.
I had even said on the couple of times I've recorded since we did this, was like, we were trying to plan this out. And so I'm like, sorry, I apologize that we couldn't get it right after the championship. But at the same time, I kind of like that the dust settled a little bit, and we can now, because everybody was talking about the Lakers championship right after it happened. So now we let the dust settle a little bit. You're a real Lakers fan. We get to hear, congratulations. I want you to hear it from me.
I love it. It's amazing. Thank you. It's amazing. And the best thing about it, honestly, is all it gets to be, we stick it to the people who was talking. Like, again, if you want to believe your other team is going to win, that's completely fine. But just the narrative and the way people were just trying to spin these tales and just these experts. It is by far my favorite thing.
All right, but that's every single year. I mean, look.
No. Okay, hey, that's true. Like we live in an age where you gotta say the shock, the hot topic, the shock jock thing, just so you can get things rolling, right? That gets the clicks and view. I get it, but some of these takes are downright awful.
There really has been a lot of bad takes. I think you're absolutely correct.
Okay, of course, talking trash, you want your team to win, and then of course every year you're gonna say the hot idea to get people talking. Sure, but just at the same time, you gotta keep it in perspective. And I just think, especially for the people that's on TV all the time, you should definitely keep it in a realm of realism. Like, come on, man, some of these topics were downright horrendous. I was like, y'all really cannot actually believe what you're saying.
I know. As long as LeBron's in the league, you're going to have these conversations, and it's until it transcends to the next guy who right now, I don't know, I would put my money on Luka as the next guy for the next 15 years, but whatever, we'll get into that. But until there is, we're going to keep having these debates. And I think for more rational minds who don't really care about the hot debates, the first take topics, it's kind of annoying because like me and my brother were talking about it too. It's like, look, I love LeBron, but then as soon as I get into these arguments, I feel like a LeBron hater because I have to like say things that I don't even want to like deal with.
Yeah, it's funny. Like honestly, like the only so obviously, when Mike was really at the height of his powers, I was a kid. I barely didn't even really understand what was going on and stuff. But when I started
Yeah.
really understanding basketball, I got the old broke down Mike at the end of his career. I had to go back and watch his films and go back and study his game stuff, right? So literally the only person I can compare to LeBron in any kind of in the way the conversation shifts is Kobe, right? So Kobe
Yeah.
was a lot of our Mikes in that he was a really polarizing figure, right? Like you either love him or you hate him. The moment the conversation starts, you bring up his accolades either to discredit what Mike did, or the people who want to talk about what Mike did, they discredit Kobe. And literally, that's what LeBron is. Like he's that point. It's been that way for a long, pretty much, man, damn near since he first came into the league. Where whatever side of the fence you on, just when you get sucked into these conversations, you inevitably determine until you either become a LeBron hater or a LeBron fan. Like
Yeah.
there's no way you really can just stay in the middle. But like it's really actually really fascinating how like him and his career has turned that conversation into something that it is today.
It kind of is. You're kind of right. LeBron is, and he will be a fascinating figure to talk about because he's gone through kind of like you said, he really is. In all honesty, we grow up in Chicago, we see the Jordan era and all that, but like we were kids. I was just having this conversation with my brother. Like I watched LeBron grow up. I mean, I watched
Yeah,
LeBron
yeah,
play. Like that is the
yes,
guy.
yes.
For my era, he really is. I still align with Jordan as the Bulls thing, but I hate the whole picking sides thing anyways. But LeBron grew up during the internet era. So he probably, I would have to say, I mean, my guess is he might be the athlete that has dealt with the most public scrutiny out of any athlete of all time.
He's literally had spotlight on him since he was 12.
Yeah, like 14, like since he was a little kid.
Since he was a kid, since he was a teenager. Like obviously, if you I know in Ohio he was a all-state football player. So obviously he probably, if you actually in Ohio from that perspective, he probably seen even more pressure than us who didn't live in Ohio.
That's
but
true.
just I was having a conversation with my mom the other day, bro. Like taking the basketball aspect out of it. When you think about like you just mentioned, LeBron growing up in the internet area, right? Literally the spotlight, all eyes on him since he was a teenager to now he is in his mid-30s. When you think about his entire career, as forget basketball, just think about off the court, right? Which a lot of people, even his most ardent haters can agree is probably what he's most well known for is his off the court thing. You have never once heard anything negative about him, right? Like never anything personal about him in any kind of scandal, any kind of embarrassing moments. Literally anything people says about him that they hate is usually strictly basketball related.
Yeah.
Like
there was like one Instagram DM model. That's it. That came out.
Yeah,
it was like a while ago.
That was the thing, right? Yeah, and like that was definitely like something that I think when it came out, it was like hot for a minute, but then like
that was like it was nothing. No, honestly, he's had nothing. No, he's the most impressive, especially character goes. He is the most impressive that has seen, and just on the court, he's like the most scrutinized play-by-play player probably in the history because he's been around for so long, so longevity. He's dealt with like 3 eras of scrutiny. Like
literally,
now he's in the first take, like every moment scrutiny. He heard it before. Like I don't know. There's a lot.
and honestly, I don't think we're ever gonna like. I actually believe like again, and I hate again. This is one thing where it sounds like you either LeBron hater or LeBron fan, but just strictly from an objective standpoint, I don't think we're gonna see something like this again. Right? Like almost 2 decades in, and you still can argue him as the best player in the league. Like
I think physically it's hard crazy. Because he's a connection with so many. He is the combination of a lot of things. I mean, look, you might be right because. To physically have now, first off, he's also the first to have the capabilities that he's had for recovery, the recovery capabilities. Like people didn't have those things. So, but to combine that with the drive that he has, the physical, just natural capabilities that he has, but then also obviously his basketball IQ, and his like willingness to kind of adapt, I guess, has kind of a look, if he is more like Jordan, which would be if he's more like Jordan, he would have stayed in Cleveland. Like let's just be honest.
That's true.
And
and
that's not to, but like this isn't to like get to that argument part, but that also like a lot of those same things that go into Jordan probably wouldn't have had him be the best player for 25 years or whatever. You run out, you burn out, like you just like.
And when you think about his ability to stay locked in, like you just mentioned, and stay on that path for as long as it's crazy, right? Like it's just completely crazy. And to be fair, like if he did have a little bit more of those, the when people talk about like the comparison, right? They talk about the intangibles, just that fire and just that drive to that world to dominate. If he had a little bit more like Jordan, or even a little bit more like Kobe, in the sense that he probably would have, he would stay in Cleveland, he would have did this, he would have did that. But all that aside, just the fact that just what he's been able to do this long in, and you can like even looking ahead, you still have potentially a couple more years. It's crazy, man. It's
Yeah.
truly crazy. And I just think we just so caught up in the internet era where people scrutinize it all the time, and he's so criticized that we just, as a fan of basketball, period, we not really processing them in real time. That when he finally does step away, it's gonna be crazy. It's gonna definitely be something that's gonna be missed.
I mean, I think you're right. Like to have some of the games that he had in this final stretch and this playoff run, like where he just like looked like far superior to everybody on the court. At certain moments, he really did. And it's like, you remember how long he's been doing this, and you're like, Jesus, this dude, man, he's like a robot. But that being said, like we talk about some of the killer instinct things, I don't want to knock him, but I brought up the game. I haven't talked to you, I think, since game 5. And so, like, I just want to know real quick, I want to get your final takes on what you thought of the actual series, and then we'll get into grand scheme. But what you think about that game 5? The most scrutinized point of the series. If Danny Green makes that shot, we don't even talk about it. But that being said, I had something to say about the way the play went anyways. What's your breakdown of that last play? LeBron has the ball. They're
so this is where it gets into that thing where, man, honestly, I would go so far as to say, is there, when you're making your point, is there a right argument for the point you're making? Because in terms of basketball play, it's simple. You get double team, triple team, whatever, close in, kick to your man. That's literally basketball 101, no matter what. But then you got to look at, does that really? We got to look at the moment, right? Look at the context. Game on the line, potential to essentially put the series away. If that was Jordan, if it was Kobe, if that was this guy, if that was the guy, he just would have took the shot. But then if he takes a shot, the argument turns into, oh, that was a bad shot. He should have did this. Like again, Kobe's one of my favorite players, but you know how many, like, literally for my entire life, I've heard the jokes and seen the pictures when people are closed in on him, and instead of kicking to this guy, he want to take it upon himself. So literally, it's just.
It is really which argument you're going to choose. But go ahead, as a fan. Yeah,
exactly. As a fan, when Danny Green was that open, my heart was just stuck. I was like, yo, like, again, remember we talked about this. Danny Green was due for just one of those games.
Right,
Forget moment. He was due for a game where he knocked down 3 or 4 threes and just good. Like, we look at open gyms. We think about open gym runs when the guy who is one guy on the court who doesn't score the whole game hits the game winning shot.
Yeah.
Like, it's been happening so many times. So Danny Green had the potential of having that moment right there, and it didn't fall. And then
I mean, look, he's wide open. If you're paying money to him and you're saying
you're an NBA player wide open, you gotta hit that. It's that simple.
In the offseason, the contract he's getting is to make a wide open shot in the playoffs. That's what the contract. That's what the contract's for.
It's that simple.
So I'm not mad at that. I think you're right. It's a complicated situation because I even said on this show, like, I didn't like the way he attacked. And it's because, but I will say, when you look at it, like, I have to rewatch the play again, but I remember watching it, like, he like crossed into like the paint. I don't know, just the way he drove to me looked like he was either going to shoot a floater or he was looking to pass.
Yeah.
Whatever. I don't even like critiquing the exact. I mean, like, this guy's the best player in the world. What am I doing telling him what way to turn?
Exactly. You're right.
I just like the attack mode more. Even, I don't know. I hate making this argument because at the same time, he was so goddamn open. I guess at that point in the time, I just wanted him to shoot.
It's like, honestly, it's like, yeah, like you said, you're an NBA player. Then, like, again, the NBA players, they're making millions. So we just really just giving our point of view as fans, right? And everybody, we all saying if that was us, we would have hit that, we would have did this. But the point is, he's making Danny Green the money he's making, he's been paid to do literally one job. Because he hasn't really been that great of a defender, to be honest. So he's brought in as a 3-and-D guy. On one half, he's doing so high. Okay, cool. On the other half, make it up. Literally, you're that wide open. No matter who you are, you have to hit that. The game on the line, timer, now you have to shoot that. You have to hit it. It's that simple. But then that's when you think about, when you look at LeBron's game as a whole, right? Like, people think about just his when you start dissecting his game and things like that. And when he attacks the basket, obviously nobody can stop him. He's 6'9", 270, wherever his weight and height constantly changes. Nobody can stop him going to the basket. Literally nobody. Like, he can run through anybody. Obviously, he might have lost a step or two with his athleticism, but he could usually jump over anybody. But then it's when you start thinking about certain things where if he had like a little mid-range kind of pull-up game, or more of a more smooth finesse
Yeah.
kind of floater instead of over dribbling into the basket getting trapped. Like there are so many things that he probably could have done differently. And I think again, you just mentioned his IQ. If he takes that shot back, I think he takes that shot. Like if he can go back in time, he takes that shot.
I think he probably does. But you know what? A good point that I had brought up to me the other day, because I'm going back and forth on this. I don't even because it's like like you said, like he made amazing basketball play and got your player wide open shot. And here's the thing. Sometimes the argument against LeBron is he doesn't want the shot in the big moment. Right after they got that rebound, he wanted the ball.
Yeah.
Markieff Morris, like, he fucked up. Well, LeBron wanted the ball. So actually, when you go back and watch it, you are like, you know what? And it's kind of like the Miami Heat thing when he makes that second three. Remember, they get the rebound and they hit it out.
Rebound,
he wanted that shot. Like, you can tell.
Well, again, as I said many times on your show, Kobe is my guy. I will say that to the day I die. Kobe is my guy. But this whole idea that like LeBron, like again, people use the 2011 Dallas final as like a spotlight of like how he shot away from big moments. And true, it was bad. It was bad. That was terrible. There was literally even the most staunch LeBron defenders cannot defend it. That was terrible. Like my man like got outplayed by JJ Barea. Like got outplayed by Jason Terry. Like no, there's no excuse for that. So we're not even gonna like talk about that. But just this idea that he doesn't want those moments. Like his whole career, he has some big moments.
Like, no, he's had some. Well, he has more
big moments.
He has more clutch shots than Jordan. Like when you look at longevity.
I think they said he had like longevity. He has more than Kobe and Jordan, I think, combined. Yeah. Again, obviously, like how we talk about like getting to those moments. Some of those stats in the context of it, like literally, we live in an age where stats are everything. There's a stat for pretty much everything, and you can definitely kind of twist numbers to fit your point and everything. But the fact is, he has a lot of big moments. So for people to say that he doesn't have any big moments, he shot away from that, like taking the 2011 finals out of it, like he has some big moments. He definitely does. Come up big.
But he's complicated though, because he kind of does have those moments where he looks like he doesn't like it just is the weird look. Like with everything we talk about what's going on in life and all this stuff, there is just truths that are both sides. It doesn't have to be either way. Yeah. And the truth of the matter is LeBron sometimes, game 5 of that Nuggets series, LeBron looked like he was like, this is fucking over. Like, I am going to dominate this. But then in the game before, he looked like he just didn't want to be there. I mean,
and honestly, I think he, after almost 20 years, is basically turned to that point where he essentially can turn it off and turn it on, which has always been a knock on like all great players and great teams, right? They talk about the flipping the switch and turning it off and turning it on. And I just think because it's LeBron, the fact that he does that, it's just magnified even more that he just flips the switch. And then once he's like I mentioned a few minutes ago, once he's in attack mode, once he's setting his mind that I'm going to take over this game, nobody can stop him no matter what he's doing.
And maybe the bubble really did affect these people a little bit more than we I don't know, that we give a try. Like, I mean, it's got to be time. I mean, I'm sure there was just days where they're like, fuck this. Like,
I mean,
like, I want to see my family.
Exactly. I mean, obviously during the regular season, they travel a lot, but they still have, it's a different kind of freedom, right? Like, I'm pretty sure whatever their arrangements are, they can have their family come to them in literally in an hour. It's not a problem.
Right.
But then it's in this situation with so many things going on, and you, like being away from your family for 3-4 months, like that definitely takes that definitely have to take.
And then you seeing videos of little Bronny's just smoking blunts and shit.
Man, the jokes that flew during that time.
Bro, you saw when LeBron was smoking the cigar and it was Bronny on the smoking the blunt. It was great.
The jokes that would fly. It was hilarious. Like,
all right, all right. So Danny Green misses that shot. Heat get another victory, and the Lakers are up 3-2. Were you scared?
I wasn't scared. Like, I definitely wasn't, but it was one of those things where I definitely fell into after watching how the Lakers came out and earlier in the series. And when you think about the previous series, how they ended it, like, man, this goes back to all the experts, right? Balance all the hype. When they went against Portland, it was the most dangerous AC they ever went against. And the Lakers are going to lose. After they lost the first game, the Lakers are in trouble.
Right.
It's crazy. Then they come back and won 4 straight, and then the story changes. They were injured. They shouldn't have been there. Okay, cool. Move on to the next round. They gotta be careful. Houston got them. Like Houston, the Lakers' perimeter defense is atrocious, which is some truth to that, sure. After the first game, man, Lakers are in trouble. happened next 4 games? They beat. They come out in Denver. Oh man, Denver's hungry. They just came back 3-1 and beat them guys. They crazy. They beat them in 5, and it was like, okay, I see. There's definitely a theme to this. But yo, kudos to Jimmy Butler, man. Jimmy Butler put on a performance for the 8, like a legendary performance.
He might have added the most to his resume out of anybody that could. I do think actually though, one of the things I was going to say, because Game 6 doesn't need to be talked about that much because that was just a demolition, but part of the impressive feats of LeBron are kind of displayed in Jimmy Butler in a weird way. So in my opinion, Jimmy Butler's dominance in Game 5 was amazing. He put on a show, but he gave everything he had. And look, Jimmy Butler's got some years. He's got a lot of time on him. That Game 6, his recovery was not there. He didn't look right. And this is what LeBron's been doing for 20 straight fucking years.
Yo, when we look at just like that frame, right? Like all right. So NBA players, obviously, you think they're world-class athletes compared to the average Joe. Their condition and stamina and is just beyond light years ahead of me, you, and whoever was go to the gym. They're crazy. But then when you look at the tiers in NBA, Jimmy Butler's performance, like you mentioned, in Game 5 was a legendary, one of the greatest of all time.
One of the greatest finals performances ever, yeah.
But then when you come back in this game, how he literally was just out of it, like his body just, like obviously like his mental, like Jimmy Butler's one of the mentally toughest players in the game, but his body just did not.
He seemed worn out.
He couldn't respond. When you think about just the fact that LeBron has been able to do that for almost 20 years, like that is.
I think that's what stood out to me more. It was like LeBron, he's still got the bounce in his step. He doesn't look like he lost him there.
Yeah, like I just think like I know it's always all these crazy stories of how much he invests in his body and things like that, which whatever he's doing is working, like clearly.
So he got his chamber that he sleeps in, they brought it into the bubble. They brought it like the chamber, whatever body chamber that is that he uses. Like it was in there.
Whatever it is, he definitely needed that, man. But sticking with Jimmy Butler real quick, like you mentioned how he has some of those elements of LeBron. I think Miami is like a perfect fit for Jimmy Butler.
Yeah.
Like like he's another person when you think about all the experts and all the stories that came out of how he was the bad guy, he was this teammate, he was that teammate. Like I think again, as a Chicagoan, when the Bulls let him go, I definitely was pissed. And when you look at what he's able to do with a team who like was able to mess with them, obviously had the coach and the front office and everything. When you look at that, it's clear to say every step along the way he wasn't necessarily the problem. Like,
no, not necessarily, but I don't think it's to take all the fault away from him. I will say this.
Oh, no, yeah.
I will say this. If I have to make one prediction, we have reached the peak of Jimmy Butler's career.
Okay.
Like that, this stretch right here to get to the finals here, to look, not to take anything away, it was amazing. But I just don't. If I had to guess, are the Heat making the finals with Jimmy Butler as the leader like this again? My guess is no.
No. I just think this because again, like the bubble and just the way to restart, just everybody
worked out.
Obviously, like everybody had the same time frame, the same journey with the time off and the restart, and everybody had the same kind of preparation in that sense. But obviously, just the way the way your team responded, the way you actually played, all that takes into an account. But yeah, is Jimmy Butler as the best player on the Heat? Are they making finals? I would agree. Like I probably
I think. Well, and I think the East is going to get a little better. This is actually a good segue because what I wanted to talk about was Lakers up top. Let's talk a little joy, get all that, and I want to segue into how we're looking towards the kind of future-ish seasons because it's kind of confusing. We don't really know.
Yeah.
But going forward here, so 2020 season, which we don't really know when is going to start right now, looks like it might be maybe January.
Yeah, maybe January,
they were talking about pushing it back if they could wait for fans, but what I've heard is that what I've heard from these like podcasts and shit that I listen to, I don't have sources. The bigger concern is the following season because they want to get that back to regular, like normal.
Yeah, and so I don't know. At some point, either one of these seasons are gonna have to be cut short so they can get back to normal.
I think it's gonna be this next one,
or it's gonna be a quick turnaround, like in order to get back to normal, like in order to get back to that normal from October to June kind of time frame, and like with the regular season.
So you need the next finals to end by June, or June. End of June would be probably early July.
Yeah.
So I guess you start January or February. You could push it, but they want to do the regular cities.
Yeah, Yeah, exactly. So when you try to get back to kind of normal, especially like given what I guess like when you look at the pandemic still isn't really under control.
I mean, it's going to
Like
be like the NFL, though. The NFL is dealing with the
yeah,
exact same thing right now, where some
yeah,
games are suspended every weekend because there's a couple of players. Like,
yeah,
it's going to go to that.
exactly. Yeah, exactly. And if the NBA with the bubble has been like a model for like how to get sports back safely and do everything in a way that it worked out. The enjoyment was still there, and like everything, like his fans tuned in. Like that was like a perfect case study of how to do it, right? And so obviously you don't want to break what's working. But then when you look at you like this was such a unique situation that could you really replicate this for a long season again? Just like this, absolutely not.
I
Like
don't
I
think
don't think it'll
so.
happen again.
I think you could
So yeah,
do. I like the idea of doing like 2 of these. You know, like having like the 3 months and then another 3 months, take a month off and then another 3 months. I like that.
hey, yo, that'd be cool, right? Because I got like we said before, this was like the purest basketball we probably will ever see. Like just like live,
I think
like
you're
not
right.
counting not counting the pro-ams that the stars go to, but like strictly like they literally compete for a championship. This is like the purest stretch of basketball we probably will we
If
ever
they
will see.
do, what they want to do is they want to look. They want to make as much money as they can. So even if
Yeah,
I'm curious what the breaking point is for a lot of stadiums. So hypothetically speaking, the United Center. Say you want to
yeah,
have a game at the United Center. What's the breaking point for them to make money for tickets? Like if they sell 5,000 tickets, are they making money? I would think yes.
yeah.
Like because concessions, all that stuff.
This actually,
But
yeah.
think about going to like a Bulls game. Well, first off, the Bulls have sucked for the past couple of years, so I guess there hasn't been that many fans, anyways. I guess you're kind of used to it, but like just like having like exclusive seat or like a Lakers game, only 5,000 people can go. Like you have your own area. That's like awesome. It's like
Yeah, that'd be great. It would be so awesome. But then you think about just what are the chances that you were one of the 5,000?
well, I don't know how much tickets cost. I mean, I would imagine they're got to
Yeah,
be more expensive. It's more exclusive.
yeah. It would have to be, and obviously there are people who would pay for it. And if I could afford it, I definitely would like to go to a game too. But I mean, honestly, like we've been saying this whole time, there's no easy answer for anything.
Yeah,
But just like at some point they at some point things will get back to normal, and
yeah.
things have to get back to normal just at some point. But just yeah, something's gonna change a long way in order for that to happen.
And so, all right. So with that, it's kind of interesting because the offseason is there's a lot of unknown because we don't know what the fuck is going on. The draft is set. The draft is November
Yeah,
17th or
yeah,
something like that. It's that week.
yeah.
They moved it. So that's happening for sure. And then we don't know the start of the next season, but we do know that free agency starts before the draft. So free agency is going to have a little weird period. There might be a lot of movement because people haven't got to do shit for a long time. I'm curious. This leads into what you were saying about the Lakers still, they still have a lot. There's a lot of rumors already. There's a Chris Paul rumor for the Lakers. There's a
Chris
Derrick
Paul, D
Rose
Rose,
rumor for the
yes.
Lakers. Let's just go real quick. If you had one, what do you prefer out of that Derrick Rose or Chris Paul situation for the Lakers?
Oh well, as a Lakers standpoint, Chris Paul. Like Chris Paul has proven he's still in the league guard. Like spend a man with LeBron and AD, like it could be like I think there's a chance it could be a disaster. But then again, when LeBron AD first off a championship and Chris Paul, he's one of the guys I believe he needs one before he retires. I want him to get one. Like I can see like just LeBron obviously LeBron and Chris Paul got the relationship, but they fit him AD. Like I can see that being fantastic and it'll be great. As a Rose fan, I wanted to be Rose when he was a free agent last time. And one of those rumors that Lakers trying to go for him and things. Obviously, he balled out his last stop, so I think the story was he wanted to stay there. But so as a Rose fan, I would want him. But as a Lakers fan, I definitely could see like them trying to get Chris Paul, especially with his contract. OKC trying to get the rebuild.
Yeah.
Like yeah. But either way,
I'm curious how that would work financially. Then, like if they would have enough room to get other guys because they still. Well, I mean, I guess if they can keep who they have, they're good. But
I mean, honestly, like it can like essentially, if that was the case, it'd be something like a Miami, right, where you build around the 3 guys and then you fill them out with the specialists and the minimums.
Is Rondo a free
out.
agent now?
I think he did. Well, he had a player option. I think he declined it, and he was a free agent.
I can't imagine Rajon Rondo and Chris Paul on the same team. I can't imagine.
But I also think Rondo. I think he's played himself into a bigger contract now. And I think like the Lakers might not like what his asking price is. The Lakers might not pay what he's worth. But I think he's played
Well,
himself.
playoff Rondo,
into a bigger
playoff Rondo
concept.
showed up. I mean, he shows up when he shows up, and he was very
It's a real
impressive in
thing.
that
Real
finals.
thing.
Like, yeah, he really was. There's some interesting moves though. I think both of those, like you said, I would love Derrick Rose to get a ring. I don't know
Man, yo.
if that's the best fit, but I don't know fit wise if that is, but I think he could.
I mean,
he would make it work.
I mean, he would, but honestly, like I imagine him like same thing, like kind of only because of when you look at the team. If he was to come off the bench, like
yeah.
he literally
They didn't have anybody. They didn't.
They had nobody.
He is like
had nothing.
He is the best version of Alex Caruso of all time off the bench there for them.
I mean, literally, like honestly, like
that could work. There's been a couple. So I'm really curious. So the draft in a couple weeks, what kind of moves are going to be made? Because so the Lakers are in talks for a couple, but they're obviously already up there. I heard that Blake Griffin might get moved.
Yeah.
What was the other one that I was just hearing? Well, the Warriors are looking. That's what's interesting is the top 4 picks. We don't know.
Yeah, we don't. And honestly, I think this has been a long time coming. I think for the longest, pretty much everybody has wanted the draft to be after free agency. Like because like obviously when it comes to draft, it's always been the conversation: do you draft best player or best fit, right? But then because there are so much unknown, and you have free agency coming up, you don't know who's available, who's not. I think having a draft, like having free agency before the draft, definitely helps a lot. Like it definitely helps teams like kind of plan better. Like I think it's just a better all around.
It's a very good point. I'm glad you brought it up because the draft is always the same week as the end of the finals, pretty much. It's like within the week of the end of the finals.
The week, like the next week.
So you don't even get to know what teams are going to trade for who, what teams are going to sign guys. So this kind of opens up a whole new can of worms. But it also is interesting because it's in a year where there's no consensus number 1 pick. So, nobody really agrees. There's some rumors that the Bulls might be interested in trading up for 1 from 4. And I'm kind of, unless they know something we don't know, unless they have a guy that they're, like, set on, I don't know if this is the year that you do that.
Yeah, I don't. Because, this is one of the drafts, this is one of the drafts that's going to be top-heavy as opposed to, kind of talented throughout. But yeah, there isn't really like an impact guy.
But who knows?
I will say this. But Drew, right? As always, who knows, right? We this time next year after the draft, after the season, we'll be talking about XYZ. But I will say this though, Melo Ball definitely is like a must see TV wherever he goes. Like he definitely must see TV.
So would you trade up for if you were the one? I want to do more draft research. By the way, maybe we'll hop back on when we get closer to the draft because I really want to watch some of these guys. But I like LaMelo Ball. I said that before. I like his game. If the Bulls traded up for number 1 and drafted LaMelo Ball, would you be like, all right?
No, but who they got to give up to get there?
I think you probably have to give up Lowry or Wendell. I think you probably have to give up one of them.
And as far as the team goes, I don't think no.
Yeah, but if LaMelo Ball is what people think he is, I don't think as the team goes even matters.
Which is true. Like I've said before. So I'm still a Lonzo fan. I still like Lonzo Ball. Like definitely was a little bit like heartbroken when the Lakers traded him. Obviously it worked out, but I'm still a Lonzo fan. Like all outside noise, all that, I'm still a fan. But I've said though, I think LaMelo Ball will be the better of the 3. Yeah. Like just because just the way he approaches the game and his game, like he's just more of an attacker. Whereas when the criticism with Lonzo, he's too passive, right? But it's all good, it fits. But I don't know, just. But then again, like when you think of like you mentioned, ticket sales and team is like wherever Melo goes, the moment fans are able to get in there, people are going to go to see him.
Yeah. And
I would even go so far as say he's the most famous teenager since LeBron. Like when you think about just coverage and the way people have been like looking locked on every move.
I like it. It's a good statement you just made there. You just made a pretty wild statement there. Zion had a lot. Zion had a lot, but Melo's got it since he was younger. They had a reality show and shit. Like
we're a reality show overseas. He scored what he had how much he scored in high school? 92.
Oh, that's right. He did. I forgot. Yeah. You're right. You're right. He's been covered since he was young. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, again, having all 3 brothers, they played together, everything. It was just like a match made in heaven kind of story.
Who's a good example? I was just thinking when we were talking. Who's a good example of somebody that was covered in high school and didn't pan out, but it wasn't terrible? OJ Mayo.
Man, yo.
OJ Mayo was like, I forgot that he was like supposed to be. He was supposed to be like LeBron. Like,
yeah, he was hailed as like the guy. Like OJ Mayo was like the guy, and obviously, things happen. His career kind of just, just went off track a little bit. But yeah. Honestly, I was an OJ Mayo fan
I liked
when
him.
he
He had
was.
game, but
Yeah,
he looked like he was like 45 when he was like in high school. He looked like he was like a grown ass
he
man.
definitely.
Like,
Yeah, that looking like Greg Golden, that a Greg Golden effect, man.
yeah,
Looking
the
way
great.
older than you need to be.
But
But yeah,
that's more praise to LeBron though, in the sense that look, it doesn't always work. We have all these
nah,
stories
it
of it
doesn't.
not always working. DeJuan Wagner, or no, who's the one? Sebastian Telfair. Those guys, it just doesn't
Sebastian
always work.
Telfair.
Yeah,
Who else was Harrison Barnes was a high recruit coming out of
yeah,
high school. I mean, obviously, high school being what it is, you don't want to use high school as like the great
yeah.
motivator, like looking at things. But remember, the year Austin Rivers was in high school, he was the number one pick. Anthony Davis was that same number one pick. He was the
Austin
number
Rivers
one.
was. Oh, he was number one going out
He
to
was the number
Duke.
one
Yeah, yeah.
recruit. The number one recruit. He was number one ranked player. Anthony Davis was that year, and then I think Anthony Davis actually was ranked 3 that year because Michael Kidd Gilchrist was ranked number 2.
Yeah.
He was ranked ahead of Anthony
So
Davis.
weird how those. Yeah, you just.
Yeah. So yeah, those rankings aren't always like the end all be all. Like not at all.
So Anthony Davis, real quick, over under 4 titles. Anthony Davis, his career.
Under.
Okay.
Under.
I don't have
I
haven't really thought about this. I just said that out loud. It was the first time I ever said that out loud.
I'm going like I can see him like honestly. So obviously people are like he has a title already. People skill wise and talent wise, he's cream of the crop, like one of the top. Obviously, I still think it's a little too early to crown him as better than some of the greats. But people are already obviously we just the way the game is. We compare everybody to everybody. Comparing him to KG, to Tim Duncan, to Dirk, to all these other great big men, and like just obviously needs to do a little bit more before he's actually there. But talent wise, he's when you look at just pure talent, he's there.
But it really happens. You're so right, though. It happens constantly now. I wonder. I would be curious as to how they talked previously like if people talked like this. But like you see somebody like Anthony Davis, and then you're like, wow, he does have the talent that could be one of the best players of all time. But immediately people immediately go, oh, he's one of the top 10 players of all time. And you're like, well, doesn't he have to do this over a period of time? Like I don't know.
Like we get so caught up in the here and the now. And actually, I seen this quote that hit Twitter a couple of days ago. It was from Jordan, and it essentially went like basically the whole who's the GOAT happens on the as now basis. He said 20 years from now, some people gonna say LeBron is the GOAT because like you mentioned, that's who we grew up watching, right? 50 years from now, it's going whoever else is hot at the moment. They're gonna say he's the GOAT. So like we just get so caught up in the hype and the now. And like you mentioned earlier, bro, just why is it a bad thing to just enjoy the games for what it is?
Right.
Like why do we have to do the comparison? We have to rank and things like that, which it makes for great barbershop talk that's cool. But when you scale back a little bit and climb off the hype and just think about just enjoy it for what it is right now. Like they're great in their own right now. The NBA definitely is in great hands going forward. They have a lot of talent going forward, so the league's in good hands. But as far as anointing this guy to be better than that guy, like some people don't need. Let's pull it back. Some of them guys don't need to be put up to just yet.
Right. I do think Anthony Davis though, like, all right, so over under 4. If he gets to that 4, he's in there. But even if he doesn't he's amazing.
The fact that he has one, I definitely think he will get it. I think personally he will get a defensive player of the year and an MVP before his career is over.
His defense in the finals was the most underrated part of the whole thing.
I believe he's gonna get he's gonna collect both of those. Maybe not necessarily in the same season, but before his career is done, he will have both of those, and that puts him as one of the greatest, big man right there. Like however you want to move him around, it's cool, but before his career is done, I'm definitely betting on he will have an MVP and the defensive player of the year.
Yeah, I think that's actually a pretty safe bet, honestly. Like it's not like if you're long-term betting, it's not a bad bet. Also, so the big thing, it's not that big. I think we're pretty certain that he's probably going to re-sign, but we haven't heard anything. He is a free agent technically.
He is.
And so come back home, buddy. Come to Chicago. But I think he's probably re-signing with Chicago.
He did say he would like to play in Chicago. Like he essentially said that.
And he already got his ring. So like who knows, maybe, but I highly doubt it. I think the thing
if he stays in Los Angeles and even wins 1 or 2 more rings and say he just makes himself a career Laker, he is going to be like a legend forever, because that's like one of those cities that if you do that in, you're just a legend.
But, you know, it's tough because the Lakers are one of those, because it is the franchise. Even just winning 1 ring, you don't make the Lakers great.
No. He's got to win a couple.
Wait. Look at LeBron. And so if you take LeBron, just like if his first part of his career is just a Laker, he wouldn't be one of the Laker greats. He won a ring, that's great. He's up there. But when you just look at just what he's done just with the Lakers in the past couple of seasons, he's not even up there in the Laker greats, because the Lakers have so many greats who, like I said, multiple championships, MVPs, and just were able to just dominate for so long that you definitely need 2 or 3 to be considered like one of the greats just in Laker lore, and that's crazy.
Right. And so he can become that if we're going to go with the fact that he stays in LA here, which I think is that's the bet we're going for. I think he will. We're going on that. Are the Lakers even the favorite for next year? I don't know. I think the Warriors have the Warriors are right there.
Surprisingly, no. Surprisingly, I know. I'm on record. I'm putting on record for you too. I'm calling a repeat next year. I'm calling it early.
You are calling it? Okay, okay.
I'm calling a repeat, but they're not the favorites.
They're not the
Warriors coming back. You know, everybody's come back healthy. The Clippers probably make some moves there. You know, see what's up. You know, things like that. Every teams are coming back. They got time to rest and everything. So no, they're not the favorite. And then over in the East, Brooklyn's coming back. So like, they're not the favorites, but. I'm calling it,
but I'm at, so I'll be honest. I put a like a $5 bet on Golden State to win it all next year, but that was because it was pretty good odds. I thought the odds were better than they should have. I think it was like plus 600, and like I think they can really win it all. But the money on the Lakers winning it all again, honestly, not a bad bet at all, because I think so. What I wanted to get into was Anthony Davis is he's the transition piece, right? But going forward now, when LeBron fades out, like, it's just so hard to predict LeBron, because how long is this going to last? Is it 4 more years? How long is he added?
2 years ago, he was starting to go downhill.
That's what I mean. So it's hard to predict. So the Warriors are going to be something. I think I don't want to go too crazy into what crazy NBA conspiracies can happen here, but Giannis is the overwhelming loom of what can happen in a year, because what if he changes? What if I think Milwaukee can't trade him. I just don't think you can't trade him. Even if he says to you, hey, I'm not sure that I'm staying, I might leave. I think it's one of those ride or die. Let's try to win a championship.
Yeah, because when you're not going to have another window like this.
I think you're right, but they keep talking about him leaving to like Dallas, or like if he goes to Dallas
with Luka and KP.
I mean, even if Kristaps is gone, even if you just have Luka and them two, and they're both like in their early 20s, the West is going to be tough. So then Anthony Davis, then leading the Lakers, is going to struggle there. I don't know. It's an interesting future.
It is, and like playing the what is and the mix and match, it definitely makes it really exciting. But I will say this though, like if
he's not going to Dallas.
But so if they don't win next season, if they don't, at what point do you start having a conversation of Giannis or do you start asking the question, or you're asking the question now, can he be the best player and actually win a ring? Like, or do you put him in a category that he's a great player, but he has to be, like, he can't be the one that he has to be the 1B. Like,
that's why I like the Luka matchup for him, because to me it's Kobe Shaq. I mean, then he becomes Shaq, and you have Luka's not Kobe, but he's like, just what I mean is like a guard that creates his own shot and can also whatever. That would be the comparison there. And then, I guess you're right. You can say, well, you didn't win a championship. Yeah, but you know what? Shaq didn't win a championship without Kobe. I mean, so.
Obviously, like we know, like we can have an actually intelligent conversation that there has never been a person who's won it by themselves. There has been either a great defense, a crazy offense, a great coach. Like, there's not one person in the game. But obviously, basketball is the one sport where literally one person can literally change the franchise. You can change the franchise for 15 years, right? One person can win you. Is one person, because he's a la LeBron, can guarantee to get you in the playoffs just on one person having that much of an impact. But as far as winning the ring by themselves,
I can't think of a case. I'm trying to think of what's the best case of somebody that was the far and superior dominant player, and I really can't think of it. I really can't.
Because when you think because even think about teams who didn't have necessarily a dominant player. Detroit, their defense was so dominant that
You know what?
like
I think
like that's what they built
I think
themselves
the
around.
one team in the weird, it's not Detroit. I think it's Toronto.
Think so?
Kawhi was the best. Like Kawhi was, but he wasn't like Shaq. He wasn't like that. But he
Yeah.
was.
Okay, he wasn't that dominant.
He was by far the best player. Like they only had
Oh,
one
yeah,
superstar.
yeah.
They only had
He
one
was.
superstar.
That's true, but Toronto's supporting cast was by far and away better than majority of the league supporting
That's
cast.
true. And they also don't win the look, every team is fortunate from what happens. The circumstances is not their fault, but they don't win the championship if Kevin Durant.
Yeah, no,
Kevin Durant doesn't tear his Achilles. Yeah.
If Golden, literally KD and Clay both went down in the same series.
No, they don't win that series otherwise.
Like if both of them were down, if both of them were healthy, like literally the overwhelming.
It's the only one I could think of though, because you think of every team. The Bulls have 2 of the top 50 greatest. The Rockets did with Hakeem. Well, actually, the Rockets they had Hakeem and Clyde, I think, but all those guys, it's very hard to think of.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, yeah, that's a good point. Like Toronto probably is the closest we would get to like one guy, but even so, like you said, circumstances come into play with the other team literally been down 75%.
Kyle Lowry, former All-Star. I think Serge Ibaka was an All-Star too. So
Serge Ibaka was an All-Star. Kyle Lowry, then Pascal, like this.
Oh, Marcus Saul.
Like,
I guess they're
like literally. So like Toronto just was when you look at teams in the finals, right? If you put Toronto against like let's say the 01 76ers or like a team like that, put them against the 07 Cavs, like who out those 3 teams, who wins the championship if it's a 7-game series?
I'll tell you what, the 07 Cavs might be the worst team that has ever made the finals. They were so bad.
I honestly don't know who were worse.
Eric Snow, they had Zadraunis Ilgauskas, right? Aaron McKee, I think. It was not a good roster.
It wasn't. And honestly, when you think about who was worse than them or the 01 76ers.
Oh, that's Aaron McKee, by the way. I meant that on that. That was Aaron McKee on the 01.
But 01 70, like the same thing with the Cavs. Like the Cavs I think they had one of the top defenses in the league that year. But just when you look at just how odd was it that team made the finals?
Yeah.
Like it was just that was a bad team. That was terrible.
Right. No, it's crazy. I think there's a lot of good players in the NBA right now. I'm really curious. So they want to get I guess what realistically it looks like we might not see basketball until December. I would say maybe training camp, and like that's like the best. That's the best
case scenario. I know months ago they were talking about Christmas starting it. Which have been this is the first NBA in how long without Christmas Day games.
Yeah, I mean you got to think about though for the. I think there's 2 things. First off, I think the NBA. The idea of Christmas to they were like saying, what if we do Christmas to August? I think is not a crazy idea, but they definitely realized that they don't want to mess with the NFL because it happened this year. And of course, all these people, whatever, it's fuck that, but they're all talking about the NFL. Yeah. Look, nobody watches the NBA because all that. No, the real thing is the NFL does dominate.
Yeah, it is. Like, yes, NBA and basketball is growing in popularity. And then, I think like the NFL is like when you look at just popular sports, football is still by far away way more popular than basketball.
But it's just that, but the NBA though, when they control June without NFL or anything, they do dominate the ratings. They do really well.
Yeah, because there's nothing else like that.
It's just a weird year where it all happened. But I think they realize that actually the schedule they have actually might be the right appropriate schedule. Like that's the schedule that works for them. So they want to get back to that. I just want to say I think we all were spoiled with how much basketball we got the past couple months because over the past 2 weeks, basically since this stopped, like I just have had a lot less to consume. Like honestly,
sure the NFL is back, so you get wrapped up in those games, but it's just I don't know, man. Like maybe it's just the basketball player in me just watching basketball, especially so when the restart first happened, there were 5 games on every single night, like. Yeah. Just the way that makes you so happy was just crazy.
Yeah, no lie. I said this, and it's weird. Like it was some of the funnest basketball I've ever watched, and it's I don't know. I think it's a combination of everything. It's a combination that we're quarantined inside. We're in this weird situation. I didn't get to play for a little bit. I didn't get to see basketball for a little bit. I was just
thirsty. We were thirsty.
Exactly.
Crazy.
Just thank you to the NBA because that was like a really great. Like it was awesome. So hopefully we get it back soon. I do want to just real quick though say we'll get out of here in a second, but we might never experience what we just had, the NBA bubble like that. This is probably a once in a lifetime thing. So if there's anything, well, what stands out to you from this whole past couple months? Like, what do you think about when you hear like, remember that NBA bubble? Like,
Honestly, like two things. One, because we're all on record. 2020 has been a terrible year so far. Probably in my memory, the worst year in recent memory that I've ever experienced. Right. And when you think about how the year started, may the great Kobe rest in peace.
yeah,
If he was in the bubble, if he was in the bubble, obviously all the older heads was saying, "Oh, Mike was in the bubble," which is cool. It's just like a what if? What if those guys, like when you think about just pure basketball, pure just maniacal, just like just pure mental, like the way like you got to be mentally locked in. Which there have been a lot of reports that guys haven't. Which again, like of course, guys, NBA players are human. They have their own emotions and things like that. We know that. Like, but when you just think about what if guys like that were in the bubble, man, they talk about crazy.
it seems like he would have loved it. Like, they just get to focus on basketball. You don't even have to worry about,
just basketball. It's crazy. But also, I think like one of the things that will stick out to me is just the fact that all the players, the way they really rallied around to really make it happen. Because obviously it doesn't happen without the players. When the restart was first coming around, people were, it was just, this team might not buy in, that team might not buy in, but for the players to really say, obviously, with the pandemic going on, but also so much racial divide going on, this is a way for us to really help and use our platform as a way to speak. I just think that, like, aside from the Lakers winning, aside from just watching basketball, just watching the way that the league, when the NBA has always been a really forward thinking and really letting the players feel empowered to to speak out and use their platform for whatever they want to do, to do that and to like really make sure that was something that wasn't forgotten, no matter how good the headlines were. This guy scored that many points. This happened. Did you see this highlight? The fact that was always front and center, was using their platform to really try to help in some kind of way, is something that definitely can't be understated and can't be forgotten.
I totally agree. And you made me think about the fact that like the one thing the NBA has done, while they're very forward thinking, they've always been, but they've also been like, look, I just mentioned the NFL's ratings. The NFL is a clear league that cares more. It seems like they care more financially. They put their money where their mouth is. They're like, we're going to focus on that. The NBA has not pandered towards the crowd that they could potentially get if they would have avoided some of the conversations. They legitimately neglected some of their audience because of this greater social good. And they really gave a big fuck you to all of the shut up and dribble people. And to me, you're right. Like, it's great. That's one of the better things that you can bring up about any of this, because they didn't care. They didn't care.
And let's be honest, NBA is 75% black, of course.
Of course.
And then when you look at basketball, the way basketball impacts the inner cities and all the hoods and all the ghettos across the world. Like, when you look at that, it doesn't literally take any person with sense can say the whole shut up and dribble crowd. There is a racial element to that.
100%.
We know that. Like you mentioned, instead of just like, of course, again, let's not forget, the NBA is a business, right? The NBA is a business, and obviously the bottom line and profits are at the forefront. But even if that's the case, like, the fact that they really let the players come out and like really make it known that the players are people, that they try to find that middle ground as best as you can, where this is our business, but understand that y'all still people. Where can we kind of mix it at? Like you said, at the sacrifice of so you lost audience members, all the stupid headlines about the ratings and blah 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 blah, all that bullshit. Like, find that middle ground where this is our business, but we still want, like, we understand that this is a players' league.
Yeah.
Like you mentioned, like when you look at the NFL is still run by like all the guys in the office. Whereas the NBA, they really let the players, because there is no game without the players. Yeah. And so they let the players really do it. And I think that's something that's really important.
Yeah, that's why you're right. Like, as you're talking through it, you're saying it to me too. It's like, I'm saying like, oh, it's a, he doesn't care about the business because the money wise, but it's also a business decision to take the side of your players too, because that's your business. That's that's what's driving your business forward. And so you so you just side with them. But I also think, Adam Silver just seems to have the right intentions anyways. But if you're just looking at it business-wise, you want your team to be happy, and if your team is the league,
I mean,
like
like and obviously, when you get into the actual nitty gritty business, like the contracts and all the different clauses and cap space and the salary cap, and when you get into all those kind of businesses, when you compare the NBA to the NFL in terms of how they spoke out and did different things, it just opens up your eyes into like it's a whole different experience in the way they really putting like they really touching in the way they're really interfering with their product, and it's really great
a
to
whole
watch.
different experience. The NFL, they can just cut you and take your money. They don't even like
Literally,
it's no holds bar. Like
honestly, like you could have great today, trash tomorrow, and you cut and you on a first Greyhound.
It's all
bus
about
back
that
to the
guaranteed money. It's all about that guaranteed money in the NFL.
crib.
But hey, the Bears are 5-1.
Yes, but man, they talk about luck.
Yeah, a stressful 5-1, but 5-1 nonetheless. We got to remember that as Chicago fans, if you listen to Chicago sports radio, it's kind of hard to remember that because people are like, but and rightfully so. I was yelling at my TV too, but man, I think that was a good way to sum up the bubble. It was great. I had such a great time over the past couple of months. I feel kind of just like, man, it was cool to get to enjoy all that. Like, it was weird that our team, the Bulls weren't in it. But hopefully we'll get to talk about the Bulls going forward. I guess that was even more purely basketball then, because there wasn't any bias towards the Bulls. It was just we're watching basketball.
Just pure basketball. And I remember there was a talk about like kind of like a secondary bubble with like some of the teams who didn't make it, and obviously they did. I would have watched it, but honestly, like I'm like,
no, they shouldn't have done that. That would have been awful. That was a straight. That would have been right there strictly for finances. That was a strictly money move.
Like that would have been.
That being said, though, the 8 teams that didn't make the bubble haven't played professional basketball in a very long time. They practiced. They had practice like 2 weeks ago.
They had practice and everything, but as you know, even though we're not NBA level, when we play in our games, it's different than playing just open gym or just kind of like just get some shots up. Like it's game time speed, game time situations, and like I don't know, but
the beginning of next season might be really sloppy.
Remember what was the game between, I forgot what two teams where it was like a stretch of basketball where they were just turnover like.
There was a couple of games in the bubble at the end of the regular season of the bubble that didn't matter. It was like Sacramento versus and
it was just sloppy, just like crazy.
I think there was like a Sacramento Kings versus like Washington Bullets game that had no point at all, and like nobody was playing. Like
no, like literally just trying to put together a YouTube highlight just so you can have something to retweet. Like it was bad.
See, that's what I remember from the bubble. Those bullshit games, the 1:00 afternoon games. It was like March Madness. I love that shit.
Yeah, crazy.
Oh man! All right. Well, once again, congratulations to you and the Lakers. Congratulations. I did not win money during that because I bet on the Heat, but I bet with my heart. Because we did bet. I will say this: we gotta finish this up. This is the bracket that we made right here. Yeah, and it's hard to, you can't really see it on the camera, but at the bottom it says Lakers in 6 because we both picked Lakers in 6.
We did, and that's the second time we got that right. Definitely, I call the Lakers in 5 against Denver.
Yeah, you did. You called that.
So definitely got that right. But again, shout out to the Heat, man. Like shout out to Coach Spoelstra. Shout out to all those guys. I'm definitely a Duncan Robinson fan. I'm definitely like just the way. But I would say that really quick, we need to slow down on the comparisons. This idea that he's a better shooter than Klay Thompson, like come on, man. Come on, man.
I don't know who brought that up. It's the dumbest.
Yeah, like come on, man. Like again,
but see that once again is victim of the moment. Why do we have to do that? Like Klay Thompson.
And again, like it's Klay Thompson. Like they were called the Splash Brothers for a reason. Obviously, they were injured. The Golden State kind of like they were terrible, but they coming back. Like
Klay Thompson scored 60 points on 11 dribbles.
11 dribbles.
I don't need any other proof. I don't need any more proof. I don't need
11 dribbles.
This is actually making me very excited to watch the Warriors again, by the way. A healthy Warriors team with a full year and a half off. They're the funnest team to watch because they're the only team that would do that for Klay. You see him catching fire, and they go out of their way to make sure.
And it's going to be cool with the Warriors to get back to just Draymond, Steph, and Klay, just getting back to those three. I think it's definitely going to make
they might add somebody. I think they might add somebody.
No. I think so. I think Joel Embiid was like.
I think Wiggins might be on the Wiggins. They might trade Wiggins, and they might try to get somebody.
Yeah, which I think Wiggins could be like a Harrison Barnes kind of type if he like locks in and plays that way. I can see that being that kind of success. As you see, they won a championship, how that turned out. But yeah, the Warriors are definitely one of the more exciting teams, and just the way Steph has revolutionized basketball. Like, yeah, whenever
It's just
the season does
reminding
start,
me how much I liked watching them play because they really like getting the guy open. They just like a fun
yeah,
team to watch. I
yeah,
was like,
they literally played like they play like fun basketball.
Yeah.
Like they literally make like the kind of however you want to talk about all the kids shooting the threes and playing crazy like Steph. Just the way they play together, the way they play for each other, like how they actually have fun. Like that's just like you just want to play basketball. It's just fun and carefree, and like we just happen to just be winning, blowing everybody out and winning shit along the way.
Oh,
like,
for real.
Yeah.
Oh man. Well, like I said, put money on the Warriors to win it all next year. So there's my bet right here. Man, fuck. Now I want to go play basketball. I want to go shoot around or some shit. Like,
there. Next time you in the city, there is a hoop session every Monday in the suburbs. My cousin put me on, so
I haven't played real bad. I played like a little like pickup here and there, but not like real games. And I've shot around a lot. I haven't played any real games in a fucking minute.
Yeah, well, also you already know once the leagues get back, I'm letting you know we get the team back together. But we just been doing open gyms. And so yeah, on Mondays, if you want something to do, I'll let you know. It's in the suburbs, and then we out.
You got to wear a mask while you play, or how's this working?
Nah. You gotta wear a mask walking in, wear a mask walking out. But you're good to go.
Well, we're in an interesting time here, so we'll see. Let's. I'm excited to play. You know, I'm excited for some more hoops. Good shit though, man. I've really enjoyed getting to talk about this this NBA bubble with you, man.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it, man. Like, keep on doing what you're doing, bro. I'm proud of you. And
appreciate you,
man.
Always, man. Let's catch back up here soon. Maybe the draft, whatever. But let's just, whatever. We'll chop it up either way. Anytime you want to holler about some basketball bullshit, hit me up, or just about anything, hit me up.
I got you, bro. Appreciate you, man.
As always, man. Be easy.
You too.
All right, man.
All right. Thanks for tuning into another episode. Thank you, KT, for coming on and just chopping it up, talking a little basketball with me. Like I said on there, I've been really happy to be able to talk basketball for the past couple of months and just to have this NBA bubble. I think that was kind of a blessing. It was very nice to be able to watch that. And it sounds like we might have a quick turnaround here, and we might get some more basketball in the next couple of months. So fingers crossed on that. I will love to watch some more NBA action as soon as possible. So I'm excited for that. Stay tuned for more episodes. I'll be back next week as always. I'm actually going out of town next week, so I'm going to have to record a couple episodes ahead of time, but I'm going to get that done. I appreciate all the support. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Remember to comment, like, support, share, whatever you do with the podcast. It's all appreciated. Enjoy yourselves. Enjoy your weekends. One love.